I know people have been wondering, how do I feel about the Leopard being an 8.0 tank after this new patch? Well, it's not as bad as everybody's making it seem to be. For some reason, everybody thinks that the Leopard should be the most OP tank in the game or something, or the fact that it got a little nerfed here or there, or the fact that it's also not the top dog anymore means that we should complain about it or something. I mean, the Leopard was a temporary reign. You know, it reigned supreme for a while. I enjoyed it. I still like the tank. It's still my favorite tank. I'm not going to deny that, and I'm not going to not play it because that there's tier 6s now that are a little bit more challenging to kill. I just look at it as like a boss fight kind of, or kind of like being down tiered in any other tank in the game. I don't know why it's so surprising to people that when you go up against a new tank that's a higher tier, a higher BR, it's going to be a little bit harder to kill. It's going to have some things that you don't have. So, what does the Leopard still have going for it? We can talk about that a little bit. I'll talk about some gripes I still have with the Leopard in terms of Gaijin and what I think that they should do. And then you guys can comment down below and let me know what you think about the Leopard and how it feels. So, from what I've noticed is a lot of people were complaining about the Leopard being very slow last patch, feeling like it was sluggish. Leopard's still pretty fast, it just doesn't have insane acceleration. I don't know if it ever really did. I think that we've just gotten faster and faster vehicles, so the Leopard starts to seem slower and slower. The next thing is Hesh. Hesh in the 105 is not worth it anymore in my opinion. I'd rather use APDS or Heat FS. The sad part about that is Hesh was so good before that I would choose it over the other two rounds. So now that I don't have Hesh to choose from, we'll slide down and use the next best options, which still aren't too great right now. And I think that's really the biggest issue with most of the 105 shooting guns or any of the tanks that are down tier that don't have APFSDS. It seems like every round in the game, aside from the normal APHE and APFSDS, is underperforming compared to what it used to at least. You'll pen tanks and not do anything. You'll pen tanks and yellow engines. You'll pen tanks and hurt a dude's foot. And just overall, it's really frustrating to have that happen. My favorite ammo to use right now on the Leopard would be APDS. But the only reason I would use APDS is because it's kinetic ammo. If I run into an MBT-70 or a T-64, I have a better chance of penetrating their composite armor or space armor as it stands on the MBT-70. Now, other than that, Heat FS might be a better alternative shell for every other tank besides those two vehicles in particular. The Chieftain you're not going to get through regardless unless you hit him in the lower plate, and the lower plate is still susceptible to Heat FS the same as it's always been. So I think if Heat FS has and is performing a little bit better, I'm saving it for a live commentary. I want to do a live commentary, kind of like a throwback tribute video with 30 Heat FS shells like I used to run my Leopard, and we'll see how it does there. But as it stands, I run APDS, and I have some trouble with it. I'm not going to lie. I think it's a pretty bad round. I think they drop off way too much for the sight, and just overall, it's hard to use. Another thing to note is KPZs and MBTs are a little bit faster than the Leopard, so they'll get into spots a little bit different. There's going to be a learning curve, and I think that's a big issue, too, that a lot of Leopard drivers are having is, to be honest, y'all couldn't probably figure it out when we had no KPZ, no MPTs, and we were losing a lot of Leopard games. We were losing a lot of top-tier German games before this patch, so we're going to lose more now until people figure it out, and it just takes a long time for everybody. And I'm not saying that everybody's bad who plays these tanks. It's just a majority of people don't know how to work together and don't know how to use their tanks to the best abilities. So I think playing a little bit slower in the Leopard this patch may benefit you greatly, you know, for the coming months with how everything develops. And other than that, I think the Leopard's same old, same old. I played it today, had some good games, had some bad games, and can't really complain too much. I think the rounds are the biggest issue right now, and I think that that's a thing across the board with everybody. Another quick note, I made a video talking about how to destroy certain tanks, certain of the new tanks. The Leopard can still pen the turret of the MBT-70 on the left cheek. Sorry, Duke's moving around. Lower front plate of the Chieftain, or lower front plate of the T-64. The sides of the T-64, like I said before, just shoot for the bottom of the turret. The side of the MBT-70, shoot at the side of the turret, and you'll get one shots just fine. It'll be business as usual. Thank you guys for watching this video. I'm glad you stopped by to watch it. I'm going to show you guys a little bit of clips of me taking the mouse out, and I'm just going to talk a little bit as kind of a bonus to this video about the mouse and the E100 and the problems with them being 7.7 vehicles in this iteration of the patch. Now, I think in the future the BRs are going to get raised for the tier 6s. I'm hoping that they go to 9.0. If that's the case, the mouse will be good again. It'll be kind of in the clear for a little while. It'll still have to deal with leopards and whatnot, but it'll be in the clear from ATGMs and these new tanks, hopefully, in the future. But right now, the mouse is so slow, you get to shoot MBTs and KPZs who try to outflank your team but don't realize you're a mouse, so they don't outflank you and they end up driving side on in front of you. And then another thing is, the mouse still has a 128, which is competitive at any tier in this game, in my opinion. I think the mouse's armor is decent at any tier in this game. I know you can get penned, and I know it's slow reacting and whatnot, but surprisingly enough, a lot of people are shooting APFSDS, and it bounces. Sometimes it bounces, sometimes it doesn't. But that's just the luck of the draw. You're going to die. You're in a paper World War II prototype tank that weighs so many tons that it would crush a bridge, you know? It's not the meta of the game anymore. It's sad to say, and it's sad to see it go. But hopefully in the future there will be a place for those tanks again in War Thunder. I don't think the fix is as easy as just splitting nations and splitting eras up, because some tanks are fine in where they are and they would be obsolete if they were in a different era than what they actually are in, because their real life purposes were way different than their in-game purpose. Just because, you know, in real life tanks aren't always fighting other tanks. Sometimes they support infantry and attack, you know, hold down positions of troops and stuff. And, you know, it's not fair that some of those tanks wouldn't get to play if they switched up eras and stuff. And then the last thing overall, I think 7.0 Germans are pretty fine now. I would say use Tiny Tims and Tiny Ivans as your go-to rockets. Bombs are working decent. Not the best, but they're decent. And what else is there that we should touch on? Oh, stabilizers. So a lot of people said something about stabilizers versus the 7.0 German tanks. This was a problem in the past, and I still hear people complaining about it. The British have stabilizers, ineffective rockets now, and ineffective HESH. The Germans have planes that have guns that can pen any tank on the ground from a top-down view. No stabilizers, but APHE that'll wipe the floor with any tank that it penetrates. So you give some stuff up, you take some stuff, and that's just kind of how the balance works. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If this helped you in any way, shape, or form, leave a like on the video. Be sure to subscribe if you're new around here, and if you have anything to add to my conversation, let me know in the comments down below. See you guys in the next one.
Bitter pill keep throwing you back. Nothing but empty sugar, no high, just crash. Tongue got me numb, I lose the words to tell myself how much you hurt. But bitter pill keep throwing you back.